Hey guys, this is Peter. Welcome back to NorCal Disc Golf. This is the new logo and the new name for 2017. So we're steering a little bit different than we were last year. This video is brought to you by Pound Disc Golf Bag. Congratulations to Jeremy Cooling for becoming the newest member of Pound Disc Golf Bags. And also, please go visit PoundDiscGolf.com. They have some of the coolest bags on the market. Thank you again to Billy Briscoe and Play It Again Sports. Play It Again Sports is located on Santa Rosa Avenue. So definitely go check them out if you're in the Santa Rosa or North Bay area. They have a great selection of discs, and they're also a really nice store. A new feature to the program is Inside the Game. So, here it is. Top 5 keys to playing Taylor Mountain. So, the first key to playing Taylor Mountain is you got to take advantage of the front 9 holes. Holes 6 through 9 are birdie friendly. Number 2, play smart. If you're not going to make the putt, lay up. No need to run it. We do have Taylor rollers. Damage control. If you're not going to get a par, then go for the 4. Number 4, pick the best possible shot for you, whether it be a forehand, a backhand, or maybe a thumber. And number 5, have fun. One of the most important aspects of playing disc golf on any course. And introducing to you our featured card, 3 new time disc golfers. So, the big name, James Proctor, one of the best disc golfers in the world, sponsored by Latitude 64, Upper Barkin Dude. John Child, sponsored by Innova, and a lefty. 2 new players to the card, along with your local guy, Casey McLaughlin. He's back and forth between AM1 and Pro. And another newbie is Travis James, who is between AM1 and Pro. So all 4 really good players. Should be really fun to watch. And here's hole number 1, sponsored by Play It Again Sports. It's a par 3, 315-foot hole. And we were joking before the round that the 2 pros had to, or the 2 sponsored players had to tee off first. So here's Proctor. And Proctor's throwing a harp, folks. This is one of his throwing putters. And he just crushed it about 320 feet, maybe 325. Just a mammoth shot. And here's John Child, who grabs a distance driver out of his bag, and he was joking. When he walked up to the tee, he goes, "This is going to be a distance driver. Is that okay?" So really funny. John Child, one of the nicest people you'll ever get to meet on a disc golf course. But that was a good shot by John, and he's about 18, 19 feet away. Here's Casey with a thumber. And Casey, as you already know from previous videos, is one of the best and biggest thumbers on the course, and that's just shy. He'll have a putt. And here's Travis James with his orange FD, just right up the gut, and a favorable skip. So he's definitely had the best shot out of the group. But when it comes to putting, you got to make them. So let's see what happens here. Here's Casey McLaughlin. And just a little bit to the left. And up by the log, I don't know if you can see him up there, and that's Proctor. So Proctor, I've been there in 2 shots. I don't think I've ever been there in 1. But that was a mammoth drive, and this is a difficult shot. He was joking and saying that he was either going to get a 4 or a 2. He definitely is running this putt. And he just has to get his footing. Definitely a tricky one. So he decided to go under the log and see what he can do. And just missed. So for some reason, John Child, I didn't get his upshot, or maybe it just didn't download properly. But he didn't make his putt, so he's going to have a par putt, while Proctor drains a really nice tester uphill. This is John Child's par putt. So par for Proctor, par for Child. Casey is going to pick up his par as he's right next to the basket. And the last one to putt, here is Travis James after a really outstanding FD shot. And silky smooth for Travis. That's going to be a birdie 2 to lead the card after hole number 1. And there is our new scoreboard feature. So Travis James with the early lead. And here we are. Hole number 2, sponsored by Innova Champion Discs. and also Pound Disc Golf Bags, is a par 3, 327-foot downhill shot. So there's no Mando right or Mando left, but there is OB on the right. So the road is OB. And Travis just kind of hung it out. I'm not really sure. There's Proctor showing you his new disc. So this is a brand new disc pre-released by Latitude 64. And that is the Caltrop. And he crushed this thing. And there's the preferred route. Just a smash over the solar panel. He's got a putt. Pretty lengthy one, but it's for Proctor. He still has a putt. So I don't know what Travis was throwing there. I think it might have been a T-bird. It could have been a buzz. Not 100% sure. I know Casey's throwing a rock here. And he did the same thing. Just too high. Both players had the line. They had the right idea. But it's easy to extend on this hole. And here's John Child. And I believe this is a rock. And that's going to be that's a nice skip, so he'll have a putt for 2. And here's Travis going to try to lay up. This is tricky because you got the trees, and this hole is notorious for, whoa, that right there is notorious for spitting it down the hill. But luckily Travis stayed, and he'll have a putt for a par. Here's John for a birdie 2 to try to get on the scoreboard here. And he just missed it. He got the height, but he just didn't get in the hole. So here's Proctor after his Caltrop shot. And this is a downhill putt. Never a doubt. And he drained it. So Proctor is on the board with a birdie 2 here on hole number 2. And here's Child to save par. And he got it. So a nice par save for John. And here comes Casey. So for some reason, again, I think I missed a couple shots here. Some of them were hard to see, but Casey with a really nice layup. And he got a birdie. So all pars around except for Proctor, who with a nice birdie. So Proctor and Travis are -1 after 2, while Childs and Casey are tied at 3. Again, this hole brought to you by Pound Disc Golf Bags and NorCal Disc Golf. So par 3, 243 feet, a tight window, definitely an Anheuser shot. Some players use a forehand. Proctor's going to go with an Annie shot that never got up. So definitely the line, definitely had the shot, it just didn't get up. Here's Travis James after birdie number 1. And he took an unfortunate kick off the tree. So that's going to be a pretty lengthy upshot he's going to have. And here's John Child. And he rips one out. Good line. Needs to get a little skip, and it never does. And I think it did get up to there by that rock, but it didn't get quite up to the hole. I think he said after he shot it, he goes, "That's outside of my putting range." So he's a really good player, folks. He's an open player, and that is probably the worst kick I've ever seen. That was incredible. All the players said they never saw it. It was kind of neat to get on video. I'm sorry, Casey. That was an unfortunate kick for you, but that was kind of awesome. It was. I've never seen it. And Travis with a beautiful upshot. Really nice forehand. So this guy's good, folks. He's got all the shots. So these guys should be making par. Here's Casey. He's gonna have to try to save a 4P here at least. And part of the keys to the game in the introduction is situations like this. So you throw out of bounds. The best you really can do is a 4. So you want to get your up and down. You don't need to be a hero and try to throw it in the hole. And that was Proctor for a birdie, but he did not get it. And here's John Child for a birdie. So that's what Casey was trying to do. Just have a nice upshot, make your putt, get the 4P, and get out of there. You don't try to need to be a hero and you end up getting a 5 or a 6. So that's what we're talking about, damage control and shot selection. Very important to play this course, and for any course, really, for the most part. There's Bob, James's dad, really nice guy. And Proctor with a nice putt again, saves par. Here comes Travis after hitting that early tree with a beautiful par save. He picked up John Child, so all those guys are getting 3, and here's Casey to save the 4-piece. So Casey pretty much did what you had to do. He went up and down. He did get a bogey, but they put him at +1. But he can bounce back. All these guys are very good. So we're moving into hole number 4, sponsored by Play It Again Sports. 252 feet. It plays a little bit longer because it's uphill. And as you can see, there's a window up at the top of your screen. So it's a tight window that these players have to try to throw a giant hyzer in. So if you hyzer it, it's got to be high enough, and it's also got to be able to hit that window. And there you can see Proctor coming in very nice over the top, but he's going to be left with a pretty tough putt because of the downhill action. And that one, I believe, was Travis James, and he hit an early tree and never quite made it up. And here's John Child. And John Child throws one of the most unique shots I've ever seen on this hole. He actually throws a roller, and you can barely see it here, but it didn't get around that tree, and he ended up going right by the stump. But it's a very unique shot, so it's really cool to watch. And that was Casey. So Casey trying to go up and over and just hit a tree and came right down. Not a bad shot by Casey at all. Here's Travis to try to, again, damage control, shot selection. You want to get up and down and get your par. And it's such nothing to fault Travis. That was such a tough line. He would have such a short window, and he just clipped that tree, and that's the Taylor roll. And that's what I talk about in the intro as far as your game plan to try to attack the course, is you have to be mindful of the hills and the rollaways on this course. And you can't always try to run it and get the best score possible. You just have to take your 4 if you're going to get it and focus on the next hole. So this is where Child landed his roller, and he's going to try to make a birdie. And he just missed. Good putt. He'll have a tap in for a par. So here's Proctor after going up and over. He's going to try to come in and make this putt. And he wasn't ready to putt, so he just dropped his disc and it rolled down the hill. Here's Travis James for a 3 and to save it. And he'll have a putt for 4. So here's Proctor for a birdie 2 on hole number 4. And that is money in the bank. So a birdie 4 for Proctor. And here's Casey. And boom. Shakalaka. That was a great putt for Casey. And a birdie 2. So Proctor and Casey with the birdies. And we have a couple putts here for par. And there you go. Actually, Travis with the 4. And there's the scoreboard. Travis James with the 4, dropping him back down to even. Casey getting back to even. And Proctor moving to -2, opening up a 2-stroke lead on the rest of the field. And again, Play It Again Sports, sponsoring hole number 5, 345 feet. And you can see I actually panned down at Proctor's feet there. So you can see that we're dealing with a little bit of different conditions. This is a brand new disc that Proctor is using. So he actually brought out a couple of discs that are brand new from Latitude 64. And he crushed that one. But you can see, as what I was saying with the tee pad, is it's pretty slippery. So a lot of these shots he can't open up and use a different disc. And we'll talk about that later in the next episode of how that affected his game. But there is Casey throwing a Thunderbird. It's a Champion Thunderbird. I believe that's a 3-time Paul McBeth. And he lit that one up, crushed it. You'll notice here as John Child throws his red disc. I want to say that's a Destroyer. But that thing, he threw that and it did not come back. And that's what happens when you're left-handed. The discs aren't going to go left; they're going to go right. Here's Travis James throwing his FD as he threw on hole number 1. What I was going to say is you'll notice that the telephone pole is gone. The telephone pole on the drives, you'll have to watch it again if you know what I'm talking about. They pulled it out, and it's no longer there as Travis putts for his birdie 2, and just a little bit to the left. And here's John Child. So John Child is in the woods and in darkness, down at the bottom of the hill, after watching his red disc fly down there. And this is, again, I can't reinforce the 5 tips at the beginning of the show. Shot selection. Is he going to throw a forehand? Is he going to throw a sidearm? What is he going to do? He throws a really great upshot to at least give him a chance for a par. So he took his time. He made the best choice, and he's rewarded for it. Again, these guys are pros, but it's the same principle whether you're pro or an am. You got to think about what you're doing. Proctor just going over the top of the hole for a birdie, so he'll be left with a par putt. Here's Casey. This is where his Thunderbird landed, and he'll have this for a 2. Oh boy, and the putter is awoken. So Casey's one of those guys. He's streaky. If his putter is going, watch out. So Proctor's going to have to watch Casey, because Casey, that's hole 4 and hole 5 after his weird ricochet bogey on hole 3. So that's 2 in a row for Casey, picking up a stroke on Proctor, while Travis James is going to have a par putt, followed by John Child. And here's John Child. John Child putts with the, I believe he putts with the Big Bead AVR, if anybody's curious or wanting to know. I believe that's what he's putting with currently, but a nice par save. So there's the scoreboard, 3 pars, and Casey with the lone birdie to move him to -1, picking up 1 stroke on Mr. Proctor. And as we move into hole number 6, sponsored by Pound, 219 feet, and this is a par 3. This is a must-get for the pros. This hole is not very difficult. You can do it a couple ways. You can go up the gut, or you can come in with a big hyzer, and that's what you're going to see. There's Casey. Casey goes right over the top of everything and sets himself up for a really nice short putt. And here comes Proctor. And Proctor crushed it. Here's Travis James, 3rd up. Oh, actually, I think that was John Child, by the way, not Travis. And John Child caught something. He caught a tree early, and that's not a good shot. So he's going to have to try to save a par. That was Travis, and Travis threw it perfectly. So 3 out of the 4 players are going to have really nice birdie looks, while John Child is going to have to try to make this in. And that was close, but he misses. And we'll see if that's going to mess up the star frame. And, oh, Casey throwing up a hand. He's feeling it. I think that hit the dead center. It looked like it hit the pole. It almost spit out. That's why he threw up his hand. Because if it would have spit out, it would have rolled back down the hill. Travis with a nice putt for 2. And Proctor, CTP. So John's tree hit did affect the star frame. So 3 birdies. And let's see if he can save at least a par here. Ooh. And he drilled it, but it looked like it was going left. So there you go after hole number 6. Proctor, -3, followed by Casey. So Casey's still down 1, and Travis has moved into the red numbers. Hole number 7, again sponsored by Pound Disc Golf Bags. Par 3, 240 feet. And by the way, this is a Mando left. You can see that they re-put the sign on there. Somebody took the sign. But it is a Mando left. Casey is going to line up his signature thumber. And that is crushed. And that's going to give him another putt. it will be an uphill putt. And here's Proctor. So you don't see a lot of thumbers. I don't know. I think Proctor has the thumber. He just doesn't shoot it a lot. But why do you need to when you have that? Just a nice, easy Annie. And Travis James actually throws a thumber as well. And it's a pretty good thumber. I actually got to play with him earlier in the day before this round. And he was showing me a couple of his shots. So he's got a thumber too. Really good player. Just left it a little short. It wasn't high enough. And John Child parked it. And it's funny, after he shot that shot, he goes, "Thank goodness I don't have to putt." Oh! And Travis just off the basket for a birdie too. And here's Casey to continue his birdie run. And he got another one. So that's 3 in a row for Casey. Actually, no. I take that back. That's 4 in a row for Casey. And Proctor with another birdie. So Proctor gets another birdie on the field. Travis for a par. And there's Johnny with a nice birdie. So we look at 3 birdies on that one. So Proctor moves to -4. Casey's at -3. And Childs and Travis are at -1. This hole sponsored by Grip. Hole number 8, 210-foot par 3. And again, this is like hole 6. If you're a pro, it's a must-get. It's wide open hyzer shot. There's nothing on the right that's going to affect your shot. Casey throwing his champion Thunderbird, I should say. John Child trying to mess with me. He had a couple shots like that where he was messing with me. Proctor is just going to hang it way too far left, but he'll still have an uphill putt, probably about a 21 footer. But that was a champion Thunderbird by Casey, and he's right under the basket. Here's Travis. And just in case you're wondering what that is, it's a really cool disc. It is a CD2. So a CD2 by Discmania, very similar to the Thunderbird. They're basically the same thing, but the CD2 can go a little bit straighter. And Child throws another bullet at the hole. So we have 3 parked. And let's see if Proctor can nail it. And that might solidify a star frame, because we've been so close on the last 2. And if you were watching the intro, this is birdie corner. So 6, 7, 8, and 9. And Child is in with a birdie 2. And there is Casey, birdie 2. And Travis, birdie 2. So that is our first star frame. And both Travis and John go to -2, while Proctor maintains his 1-stroke lead on Casey. And here we are, hole number 9. This is our last hole of the video, folks. We're doing 9 and 9, 195 feet. This is a tricky hole. It's under 200 feet, but it's a lot harder than people think. And you can go straight at it, or you can hyzer it. And here's Casey. So Casey, after bogeying hole 3, peels off 5 birdies in a row, and he'll have that for a 6th in a row. And here's Proctor. And I think he's using a judge right here. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. He's parked. Sorry for the finger in the video, but here's John Child. And I believe he's using a rock. And that looked like to be really good. And oh no. I thought that was going to settle down by Proctor's. And Child is going on an adventure down the hill. And he's way down there. So when he was trying to look for this, I kept telling him to go further and further down. And I don't know what Travis did here, but that was not a good shot. I think it slipped out of his hand. Nothing against Travis, but I think it just slipped out. Because these were fairly wet conditions. But that is a great upshot. So he'll have a par. And here's John Child, who again, this is back to the notes, shot selection. I don't know what you're going to do here, what kind of look he had, but I think he ends up coming up the right-hand side of your screen, right in there somewhere. But he did have this for par. And John Child, a very good putter, using the yellow Big Beat AVR instead of the red one. This might just be beat in a little bit more. Oh, and he just about had it. Where's Proctor wearing his Upper Park shirt? And that was his dad, Bob. He was just messing around. He actually had a couple good drives in between. So Travis is going to save 3. Proctor with a 2. Casey, I don't know if I got his upshot, but he's going to get a par. So Casey at -4. Proctor leading with -6. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and like the channel. And also, thank you to all the players. Huge thanks to Proctor and John Childs and